be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. That, and going to thegrizzlygentleman.com using the same promo code for a similar deal, are fantastic deals, and they do help support the show. What is up, Planeswalkers? They're 6 back from more Magic the Gathering Arena, and today we're playing Jund. Ooh, Jund. This deck brought to you by Dreadhorde. This deck is just real dope. For those of you who don't know, Jund essentially is just like one of the quintessential mid-range decks. Arguably, I'd throw Abzan in there as well, but not as many people respect Abzan as I do, so whatever. But yeah, this deck essentially is just all of the good black, red, and green things that you can have in a deck like this, where it has some very good removals, has some very, very good utility creatures, and then of course it has planeswalkers to round it out. So essentially you can see that we're playing with just really powerful spells. Oftentimes, mid-range decks that are Jundlites, if you shall, try and have those three things. They try to capitalize on that. Really strong removal, just generally good creatures, and generally strong planeswalkers. And the reason for this is because it allows you to just almost never have bad top decks. Obviously, in many of the Jundlites, there are mana creatures, and those are sometimes relatively bad, but for the most part, the general card quality in a Jund deck is pretty high. So, what does this deck do? Well, we have 3 eliminates to get rid of Cough early Teferis, as well as a bunch of other early planeswalkers, and then of course, any annoying creature that we happen to come across. Notably, I've been seeing a lot of the Stonecoil Serpents, and of course this obviously deals with things like Hydroid Crisis and or Nissa lands. It hits things like that. It's very nice. Also, it just generally hits small dudes. To Scorching Rays, very similar, except for the fact that this will deal damage as opposed to just destroying certain things, and it allows you to exile things as well. So, for what it's worth, this is technically a non-bow with our Scavenging Ooze. However, having the option to exile things, especially considering I have seen some sparks of Arclight Phoenix decks around, it's just generally nice to have that as an option. We have 4 Paradise Druids. We don't have any 1-drops in this deck. You don't have the typical Thoughtseize and things like that, although for what it's worth, in the sideboard, you would expect to have some number of Duress and or Agonizing Remorse, because discard generally pretty good in a Jundlite. I'm going to just keep using Jundlite. But yes, you do tend to want some number of mana creatures so that you can get to your higher powered spells a little bit faster. What's nice about Paradise Druid, of course, is that it innately is hexproof, so it has a bit of protection there, so, your opponent can't quote-unquote boat the bird. And, it has 2 power, which means that it can actually get in the zone if you need to. 3 Scavenging Ooze is just been outperforming my highest of expectations. Obviously, this is a reprint. I've played with this card in other formats, but I didn't realize just how many decks that this hates on, and just how many creatures are just being shoved into the graveyard consistently. So, Scavenging Ooze has been just absolutely great. It can exile non-creatures as well, but when you exile creatures, you gain some life and make your ooze bigger. It's just great. 3 Kroxa. Kroxa is back in action. I will say, for what it's worth, this does feel like one of the weaker cards in the deck, but it is the kind of recurable, very annoying discard for this deck, and it can, attack and block with the best of them. So, you all know what Kroxa does. It's just generally okay. Sometimes it plays poorly with Scavenging Ooze in that our Ooze might need to eat our own creatures in order for us to survive, but if that's kind of what we're doing, we're in a great spot anyway. For Gruul Spellbreakers, this is like one of those creatures that is just what you like to see in a Jundlite. So this creature can be super aggressive, or it can be relatively defensive. So we have, either a 3/3 with haste and trample, where we can just really start putting down the beat on our control opponents, or we can make it a nice 4/4 that happens to have trample, but, we can have her on block for a while until we're able to, amass that heavy advantage against the other lower to the ground aggro decks. Radha, Heart of Keld, is similar-ish to something like Azusa, except Azusa is not statted aggressively, right? With Radha, we can get into the red zone, and on attack, she has first strike, which is fantastic. Like Azusa, she helps us in the land department, insofar as she allows us to play lands off the top of our deck, which also is kind of like a pseudo-Bob effect, in that we're going to be able to go through more cards than our opponent, because, if we have a land on top, we can play that instead of a land in our hand, i.e. we're functionally drawing a card. And then, of course, she has that extra ability where, you know, if we just happen to flood out, she gets real swole and hits a mofo. 2, Liliana, Waker of the Deads, with that sweet, sweet card style. She's fantastic. She is a very similar to a Liliana of the Veil. You might notice that this deck has a lot of parallels between this and the modern version. This allows us to essentially just keep forcing our opponent to discard cards. We don't really care too often. Honestly, many times, by the time we play Liliana and start plussing, we're going to be yeeting things into the field, so we have nothing left in our hand anyway. So this, if nothing else, gives us some nice parity. She helps us to end games against other decks that are going into top deck mode. And then, of course, the -3 is generally helpful as removal. It's not the best, because, as I said earlier, sometimes, you know, we have Kroxa, we have Scavenging Ooze, our yard might not be the best, but she can have a little bit of that nice removal there if you need it. And then if you get to -7 somehow, you should have won. 3, Questing Beast. It's Questing Beast. 3, Vivien, Monster's Advocate. Just generally speaking, being able to cast creature spells from the top of your deck as well, meaning that if you have Radha and Vivien, there are very few things off the top of your deck that you can't just play from there, giving you like a massive potential for card advantage there. Also, of course, you make elk that do things. I mean, you make beasts, but those things have horns, damn it. And then, you know, you -2, potentially you can, you know, Cavalier of Thorns into a Questing Beast or something, and that can be pretty backbreaking. 2, Liliana, Dreadhorde General. I'm skipping this for right now, shut up. She's just strong. You know, our stuff dies, we get value, we make value, we kill things. It's great. Cavalier of Thorns is kind of like the glue that holds this deck together, and the reason I say that is because, one, it's really reasonably costed. It has reach, which is, as you can kind of see, you know, green usually doesn't have a great time against flying, but I guess with Vivien she helps as well, because these things can get reach. I usually just do Vigilance or Trample, but what's nice about this card is that, one, it also makes sure we get more mana, but 2, it does yeet things into our graveyard for some of the other things that I've already talked about us caring about, so it's very nice. This is our mana base. It probably could be better. This is just a very slightly modified version of what Dreadhorde gave me, and, you know, we're rocking, what, 26 lands? 25 lands. Come on, there we go. Gotta put my disgusting face back. Hello! And let's hop into some games. We're playing some Standard Ranked. I did get to play a game just now, and it was against Mono Green, and Scavenging Ooze was a house there. Being able to just constantly eat things, get bigger, become a better wall is just great. My opponent knows what's up. Heck yeah. The AG, we're going first. We got a turn 2, turn 3. Yeah, I mean, this is probably fine. Getting one more land obviously would be great. And since we don't have any 1-drops, these temples are pretty much free. They're going to allow us to get the early scry on, make sure we can get another lands, or I suppose another early game thing. I'm not going to go and yeet that just because we can't actually cast it. So, a commenter the other day, or technically yesterday for you all, today for me. So I said the other day because that's what I default to. Gutter Bones. Interesting. So our Skoos might be pretty handy here. Okay. They asked if I could tone down the swearing a little bit. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm having a Sunday or whatever from Sonic. I'm not going to block. Drill bit? Temur Ramp. Awkward. I would like another land, please. My ooze is dead. Cauldron. Sure. Land? Did not get there. Awkward. I might want to yeet something else that isn't Temur Ramp. So, some people might... Oh my god, I love it. Wrong target! Bruh. Oh, it's always nice to get that sweet 2-for-1. Can I have a land, please? Fuck! Sometimes this happens. I mean, the thing is, I kept a 3-land hand with plays, so... It does kind of just suck. Third embrace. Ow. I'm dead. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It was a good hand, just got ruined by not drawing that last land. That's what I would give an oof. So some people might say, like, why care, right? Just you do you, curse as much as you want. And the reason why I actually do care is because, and for those who've been around the channel for a super long time might know this, I keep like going up and down on the amount of swearing I do on YouTube. And my plan is always to be, my plan has always been to swear less, not at all, but to swear less on YouTube and swear a ton on Twitch. And when I say a ton, of course, I mean, like, I'm keeping his hand. When I say a ton, I mean the normal amount that I swear, which is a lot. But I've always wanted YouTube to be a little bit more friendly because the people who are watching me stream are, I'm keeping that, potentially more likely to be the ones who are less old, or less young, sorry. Essentially, they're the people who can handle the swearing a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and just play this. That was the wrong one. I should have played this, but I don't think it's going to actually matter at the end of the day. Words are hard. Uro, sure. It's Temur Reclamation, yeah. So, that's fun. We didn't get any of our ramp, unfortunately. Or any of our early creatures. What was I saying? Right. So yeah, I've wanted the YouTube stuff to be a little bit, what? It's, oh, I've heard that this is like one of the strongest decks. Temur Adventure. Okay. I'm gonna do this and this. This way, I can eliminate. I mean, for what it's worth, I can just eat that, which is great. But I can also kill a the Tavern Keeper. Escape to the Wilds. If I play an additional land, sure. Okay, so they can play lands and bounce my Scooze. Bone Crush Giant. Okay, so I'm going to consume Uro. Oh, you know what? I should have waited. That was dumb. My opponent could have been stupid. Yeah, that was dumb. I could have waited and seen if my opponent decided to double target the Scooze. But this should be fine. So that's until the end of your next turn. Okay, so they can play these next turn, which means that my opponent has the potential to bounce what I do. And they have the potential to bounce two things. So that means I want to get this, because this will give me a little bit more value. Get this, put it in tapped. Cool. Alright, so they can like do stuff, but whatever. I mean, they're probably just going to use this, I guess. They can play both of these. Still have 4 left. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, so I'm going to still swear on the channel, but I'm going to probably swear a little bit less. I'm surprised by that, to be honest. I'm surprised they're choosing not to use the Fave Wishes here. They might just cast the Fave Wishes, but yeah, that's weird. That's not what I expected at all, to be honest. So here, I mean, here it's really difficult not to just. Oh wow, they ordered that wrong. So this they should have technically been able to put that in here, but oh no, they couldn't have done anything else. Yeah, never mind. So I think here I just want a Liliana minus. That way I get rid of both of these things. Obviously, she could then die to, you know, something, but still, I will take the 2-for-1 when my opponent has been able to do similar things. Yeah, so that's just a small thing I just wanted to touch on. Some people might care, some might not. Okay, yeah, 9 mana. Crisis, sure. So you got some stuff there, but I can eliminate that. I guess I can eliminate Liliana. Because I could have tried to Cavalier. I think instead I'm gonna get this Liliana down.
This battle is going to end on.
And I think I'm gonna yeet one of my Cavaliers. I have a second one. I'm not terribly worried about it. But yeet a land,
Sorry
sure.
for your loss.
These decks don't run mass manipulation, do they? I'm quite scared. So yeah, I want to touch on that. Yada 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 yada. I could get like triple bounced here, but I honestly don't think I would care all that much. Things are dying.
Not today, Death.
This is a fresh banana and M&M shake.
I am exhausted.
Honestly, you plus him.
We're doing things my way.
I want it my way. Do you want a Cav? Honestly, I think I just want a Vivien.
Elemental cat dinosaurs? I love Ikoria.
Let's get reach here, I guess.
I love making new friends.
Vivien sounds a little bit creepy to me. Ooh. I remember when I lost my mind. We do have some Discord questions. It's difficult to answer Discord questions when you have a deck like Jund. I'm having a blast because I like Abzan, and Jund is kin to Abzan, right? So this deck definitely gives me those same feelings. It's like Jund, very tiny above Abzan in terms of Jundlites. Obviously, it's named after Jund. Then we got Sultai. Okay. That kind of sucks. Bounce that, and then you kill Vivien, sure. So here, I'm gonna Cav.
This is why I don't trust people.
Hydro Crisis. I think they were a bit greedy there. I think I'm going to have... I didn't even get to play another card. Decent blocker here. Arrow. Can immediately get cast again, unfortunately.
The best thing about zombies is their adoring obedience. I really don't care about your plans.
Sorry, I'm like really focused on the game. My bad. Yeah, so I've heard that this is like the current, the flavor of the week. God damn. Banana milkshakes are just so good. Beanstalk giant, sure. So the plan. So I'm curious who he's going to kill. The plan if he kills Cav, and it looks like he's not going to kill Cav. So now, I just draw Scavenging Ooze, and I just eat the shit out of his graveyard. And potentially mine as well. Yeah, big Beanstalk Giant. Oh no, you're not casting it, you're casting Foot. I mean, yeah, they're making their deck more value-laden. So I do need to... Killing them? I mean, that's big, but it doesn't have trample, so I don't really care all that much. Okay, so... I can eat things. Always nice to eat things.
Sorry for your loss.
To eat one of these. Just because I can. Yum yum. So, next turn, I probably just block with Spellbreaker, because I'm getting another Spellbreaker anyway. Like, I chump this. Cool. Cool. Born of the Night Esper fan. Yeah, sure, that's fine. I did forget they would be able to do that. So good. Anyway. They ask, what would I want reprinted in Double Masters? Would I want them in Historic? Shit. Alright, well, we've lost. Damn. That sucks. Alright, if we're gonna lose, this is a funny way to lose, at least. Tormod's Crypt. Sure. Unfortunately, they went with the Crypt first to disrespect me. They should have just killed me while they had the chance. Damn. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna play another game. Damn, how do you deal with that? I'm gonna try and talk a little bit about sideboard options for this deck. Because I do think Jundlites in general play better when you have best of 3 environments. Didn't I lose the first game? What the hell was the first game? I can't keep this. It has 2 lands, but they're both, neither of them are green. And we got, I mean, like, we have this, but that isn't even a card. This is better. Honestly, I think we yeet Kroxa. Yeah, I think we yeet Kroxa. Grazer. Oh, yay! It's Ramp. Ramp of the Temur variety. So yeah, I can play Paradise Druid next turn into Radha. We're essentially going against the same deck. Yay! Right. They said they'd want Mana Drain and Dromar's Charm and for it to be historic. Yeah. Born of the Night, you're fucking out of your mind. Mana Drain would be not only broken, it would be the worst thing to happen to historic. You are a mad person if you think Mana Drain is remotely fine for historic. Double Master shan't be a historic, almost certainly. No, there's no fucking way. What I want reprinted in Double Masters, it doesn't matter because Double Masters is priced out of the market for literally anyone. No one's gonna be able to buy that shit because it's $1,000 a pop. It's not actually. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but it's ridiculous. It's stupid. I'm upset. Can you tell? I'm just gonna start eating their cards. Mine. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I got cards in my tummy and something, something yummy. Alright, well, we're just gonna go ahead and play one of these. We're gonna smork on in. Alright, take your 7. See if I care. Enter. Cool. Yeah, no, no. Dromar's Charm even might be just annoying as hell. But Mana Drain is an absolute... You've lost it. I attack with my Skoos. They're going to block with Solemn. But I think that's fine. So they're starting to get mana. Honestly, I think I'm just going to... I'm just gonna haste it. I want to murder my opponent as fast as I can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. I could have technically eliminated Arboreal Grazer, but still not the right time yet. I might want to eliminate like a Nissa land or something. Which enter. Can make my Skoos bigger. I can kill something. Yada 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 yada. Volleyball asked, what deck from past standards do you think could compete with current top tier decks? That very much depends on what you mean by past standard. Because like there have been decks that have been functionally banned out of standard, right? Hawblade, God, what's the name of the one that was it was like Aetherworks, Marvel Emrakul, things like that. Oh, Affinity, right? Like even those, like, I don't know what you're gonna do here. Kill my Questing Beast? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to kill your Arboreal Grazer. And then you. Get yo. Cool. I'm still like, I'm trying to run through the permeations in my mind of like, permutations, not permeations. The permutations in my mind on what... Uh-oh, there we go. On what you can add to the sideboard of this deck. Like, obviously discard effects are generally good. Different types of removal would be good as well. So, I mean, you know, you got your duresses. You could include things like, well, the things you don't need more graveyard hate. Like, the deck does have a decent amount of just innate graveyard hate with these things. So typically speaking, Jund decks are what are called fair decks, or Jundlites, I should say. And one of the ways that they lose is by when the unfair decks are able to, just outdo them. Unfair typically means, like combo decks that are doing, they're kind of like skirting the lines of Magic. And the closest standard analog I can think of are these ramp decks, or even the Temur deck that I just went against before. So typically you're going to want something to deal with that. So you're definitely going to want something that destroys artifacts and enchantments. So you're definitely going to want something that blows those to smithereens, but you want it to be something that hits both, which means it's probably going to be in green or something. Return to Nature is one option. However, the reason I don't like Return to Nature all that much is because it's a spell. And typically speaking, in a Jundlite, you're going to want things that are more versatile. So something like Thrashing Brontodon would be better. Obviously, this would be pretty decent as well. I'm just checking to see if the deck has any humans. It does not. Okay. So even this would be potentially good. Frankly, I might still go for Brontodon, and the reason for that is because you get to choose. You get a little bit more control over when it is used. So, for example, against the Temur, against Temur Reclamation, right? You'd want to wait until they play Wilderness Reclamation in order to mutate this onto something and then kill it. So this essentially is just sitting in your hands, not doing anything, not adding to the pressure that you have. Whereas if you have Thrashing Brontodon, you can play that, and sure, you might technically need to hold up that 1 extra mana every turn, but you then have not only a deterrent on they have to really choose when they're going to play this out, and or wait until they find removal, or the other option is just like you put your shields down and then you get blown out. So generally speaking, I prefer to go with something like that. So I do think depending on how the metagame shapes up, you're definitely going to want some number of Duress / Agonizing Remorse. You're definitely going to want some amount of artifact enchant removal. Like this is something too slow, and you're going to typically want something that is relatively versatile. Like even Status Statue is like a little bit better than Return to Nature or whatever. Casualties of War is something that you might consider bringing in. What the fuck am I talking about? Cindervines. You want Cindervines. Not creature spell. Yeah, no, I mean this even does kind of work against the Adventures deck, right? Because like when they're casting the Adventures, they are casting non-creature things. So I think Cindervines might be the best of those artifact enchantment things, because it also hits on the heavy spell lists, like the is it like Phoenix spell decks or whatever. So it hits those relatively hard as well, even though they don't run as many, if any, artifacts and enchantments. So I think Cindervines is a pretty decent option. So yeah, Cindervines. Then you have things like the discard, duress, and what's have you. And then you're going to want some amount of board wipes for the super aggressive decks. Some number of, I would guess, for a deck like this, I would say you want an extinction event over something like Ritual of Soot, Cry the Canarium. And the reason for that is the mana cost, right? This deck does have, not a lot of black. This deck is focused on green. We do have 2 double black pip cards here and then here, but here it doesn't matter as much. But here, we're not always going to be able to cast Liliana on curve, and we don't need to, right? Casting Liliana on curve is not, terribly important. Casting a board wipe on curve is usually, if you're bringing a board wipe in, going to be important. So that's why I would caution you to play either switch the Jund deck to be more black heavy, or use Extinction Events as your main board wipe. I would also suggest against Storm's Wrath, because with Extinction Event, sure, you might leave some of their creatures alive, but you're also going to be leaving some of your creatures alive. And typically speaking, if you're bringing in a board wipe, you're going to get some sort of aggressive deck, and typically speaking, your creatures are going to be stronger than theirs. So you'll be able to really choose which event you're going to want to occur, and you'll be the one who comes out on top. Whereas if you have something like Storm's Wrath, you lose everything, sure, but now you also don't have anything to claw back. And typically speaking, if you're going against an aggressive deck, you don't really want to be put in a situation where your shields are down, right? I would rather have an aggressive deck have a creature that I also have a creature to block with, then neither of us have anything, but I know my opponent has like haste cards in their deck, and like we're both in top deck mode, right? That's generally my preference, so take it or leave it. I'm trying to think of some other things you might want. Potentially, depending on the number of counterspells in the deck, you might want something along the lines of, gosh, what is her name? She's in green. She's a 2-drop, a creature, and enchantment. What is she? Fucking stupid. There we go. Destiny Spinner. You might want some Destiny Spinners. Means that your stuff can't get countered, and what's nice is that she is still a creature. I don't think there's anything right now that stops things from being cast at instant speed, so, against Flash, it's just going to be annoying. Flash is just going to be a pain in your ass. But in general, I think that's kind of what you're looking for in terms of a sideboard. Let me know if you want me to do more of these, like, kind of pseudo-sideboard guides. Obviously, they're not going to make sense for every deck that I play. Some of the decks here are going to be memes, but whenever I play a deck that I think is better in best of 3, but I'm only playing best of 1, let me know if you'd be interested in hearing some of this commentary. For what it's worth, I wouldn't be comfortable necessarily playing this deck in best of 3 right now, because I don't know the metagame yet. And technically we don't have a metagame yet. But yeah, I don't know the metagame yet, so I don't know what I'd be necessarily looking for. So yeah, I enjoy doing that. I like talking about, although I play a lot of variety of decks, I do like talking about some of the more competitive aspects, especially sideboarding. I love sideboarding. Anyway, I'd like to thank my lovely patrons for the continued support. If you'd like to join them and support the show, you'll find links to that down in the description below. We have another new patron. Holy shit. Fats McClure, newest patron. Big thanks. As I said, if you'd like to join them, just the links in the description. You all really do, you make my day. Like, legit. I usually don't have anything interesting to say to my girlfriend about, like, how my day is. She has like a normal person's job, and I'm over here like, I read some articles today, and I played some Magic. Like, cool. Like, that's the usual thing. Is like, I've read some articles for school, I played some Magic. But I'm always so excited when I'm like, hey, I got a new patron. So yeah, that actually like makes my day and shit. Words are hard. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and slap that like button. If I don't know, like, comment, subscribe, all that. I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna record some Stone Shard. Yeah, until next time, I'll be one.